Now, Tuesday marks the anniversary of the Marikana massacre, where police shot dead 34 protesting miners. But 10 years later, families of the victims are still seeking answers. It remains unclear who ordered the police to open fire on that fateful day in the northwest. Our reporter Moloko Moloto is on the ground there to speak to survivors and families of slain miners. Moloko, good morning, good afternoon rather, and thank you very much for your time. What are some of the members of the victims saying? They still are seeking their answers to this day.
Good afternoon, Mfundo. Indeed, the workers in particular, because upon our arrival here, we managed to speak to some of them. They are, expressing mixed reactions. Of course, some of them are saying the president of the Republic, Cyril Ramaphosa, who at the time, for instance, was just a shareholder of Lone Min Mine. He was not in government, but they are still blaming him for that. Others are saying he must come here personally to apologize, the same way he promised during the funeral service of Winnie Madikizela Mandela. But others are saying he should not even come here. They would rather meet him in court. But now we are joined by Mzoxolo Makidiwana. He was among the workers who were shot here. Luckily, he did not die. He was just telling us that he actually was shot about 9 times and he survived. Let me bring him into this conversation. Mzoxolo, thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us. Just take us back to that particular day when you guys were shot. Some of your colleagues were killed.
Yeah, mandibulise kwisizwe sonke ngokupheleleyo. Ndingatsho msasazi ndithi ayonto emnandi nento ephathekayo kuthi efanele ndingenziwa kweli xesha lenkululeko le. Xa ndithetha kuba buhlungu because kuvikwa iminyele yento ukuba silinyazwa ngabantu abamnyama abafana nathi ngexesha lenkululeko. Ndingayithetha futhi ngongayifihliyo into yoba laa nto yokulimala kwethu yayinesizathu sokuba kwakusoyikiswa abantu abahluphekileyo abaphuwa phakathi kokuba funeka sithi noba sihleli sicinge sizithathe njengamakhoboka wabantu abatyebileyo abafana notata uRamaphosa ukuba bangenza nantoni na empilweni zethu. Ngokwenene kodwa khange kwenzeke ngendlela ebecinga ukuba izinto zokwenzeka ngayo. Noxa ke izinto zenzeka ngendlela ayoyithanda ngalo ngoba igazi lona lachitheka ngendlela ayoyifuna ngalo.
Yeah. Well, Mfundo, just to explain for the benefit of our viewers who may not understand isiXhosa, he's basically saying that he is pained by the fact that what transpired here happened in a democratic South Africa under a government that is led by black people, and he's essentially saying that those who were behind this really wanted them as workers to be slaves of the rich people. But let Mzoxolo, a lot of people are blaming you as the workers at that time to say that you were violent, you were carrying dangerous weapons, things that you're not supposed to do, and others are actually blaming you for the death, you as the group, for the death of the police as well as other mine workers and security who died before the 34.
Andinoba gxeka abantu abaye bacinga ukuba mhlawumbi sithi abantu abanengxaki because batsho ngoba babengazi story ukuba yintoni kahle kahle lebisenzeka. Kumnandi ke ngongumntu uthi before uthethe into uqala uyifunde into okanye uyiqonde into ukwazi ukuyiphendula. Mna ndiyayazi into ukuba anatyala. Umuntu onetyala futhi nditsho ndiqinisekisa ukuba njengoba bendibambisile ndinetyala endisaqhubeka nalo nalityala nangoku isizathu sokuba ndingatshutshiswa kude kufikelele ixesha leminyaka emingaka ndifuna ngokubiza iNPA ndiyixelele ukuba mayichithe ityala lam ngoba iyalibazisa ngobomi. Okwesibini futhi ngifuna uxelela ilizwe umuntu onetyala ngubani nguRamaphosa nesigqeba sakho nathi mthetho bonke omama uPierre bonke abantu babephaka bebe-involved kulanto kodwa belukuhlwe nguRamaphosa. uRamaphosa ngena muntu izandla zakhe ezigcelwe igazi labasebenzi lamapolisa abangela uba makalimale lezasecurity ezabangela ukuba zivelelwe intlekele nazo zalimala. nguye umuntu waba ngungqondongqondo mastermind okwenza ukuba abantu mababulalane bodwa.
All right, Mzoxolo, there really he's pulling no punches, blaming this entirely on President Ramaphosa and, of course, those who were in leadership at the time, the former police minister. He's saying the president was the mastermind. Of course, we know that the Falam Commission found that there was no criminal intent on the side of Mr. Ramaphosa. And Mzoxolo, tell us about when you were shot on that day. Just in a nutshell, where were you, and were you part of the people who were chanting here?
Yeah, nami ngomnye wabantu abebekhona kwaye njengoba ndingumuntu abebekhona nge16 ndingumuntu onomvusa nobelele athethe ngento yangelanga la nge16 ngoba yayisenzeka kuye futhi uyabaza ubhlungu bange16. Ndingumuntu odutyulwe ibullet zayi7 ezakhutshwa ngogqirha ezimbini zabetha kumzadlula. Ndidutyulwe imbumbulo zayi9. Ndifuna ukuxelela lonto. Ewe ndilimele ndasinda futhi nami ndandingazazi uba ndizosinda. Nami njengoba amapolisa ayezixelela uba ndizofela endleleni ngoba ayithetha lonto. Ndingumuntu othi nayicinga into ezenziwe ke kum ndizibone ukuba andisindanga nje ukuba kuthiwa kuthanda mna okanye intando yami intando kaThixo futhi ngamandla kaThixo uba mandisinde ndikwazi ukuqhubeleka ndiveza amanyundululu enziwe ngurhulumente kuthi singabasebenzi.
Well, let me ask you this, because you were just telling us here that you want the NPA to essentially just withdraw these charges against you, saying that you don't have a case, you're not guilty and they don't have a case against you. It's been 10 years, and if they really had a case against you, they would have possibly have convicted you. But you were telling me earlier that when you were in hospital, I think you said you had been there for about 5 months. The police top brass came to hospital to try to force you to accept that you are the ones who killed the police. Tell us more about that. Who was this top cop who came to you?
Umuntu oyenze into ba ecinga ukuba mhlambi ndiyokwenza ngokwendlela yakhe. After bebhale istatement ngam apha mandibeke kanjalo. Bothukile ngathi kanti mina ndiyaphila. Nami ndithena ndisothuka. ESunning Hill ndothuka ndigadwe ngamapolisa kodwa zange ndahlukumezeka eSunning Hill andifuna uxoka. Apho ndifumene ubunzima khona kulapha nandifike eRustenburg eMedicare. Apho ndandingatyi kwakubhlungu kutya kuphindwa kubekwe pha nditye nandicingile ndikoyika endothuke sekupha ngoba ndine-pressure endiyinikezwayo ngamapolisa akhoyo afikayo ezobona lo muntu kuthiwa ebebulala amapolisa ngenxa yezitatement ezibhaliweyo ngegama lam lingenzanga nto. Uyena muntu ke ondaye ndathi lo muntu ingathi ayengomama engathi akazelanga ngumama uMbombo. Umama uMbombo wandothusa kakhulu nxa efika kum athi vuma ngoba vuma uze uyekwe ubani usenziwa lento uyenziwayo vuma ukuba wena ubulele amapolisa sine footage yonke iphelele ngawe. Ndathi izani nayo ndiyibone sukela lalanga zange ndiphinde ndimbone. Kodwa ndiyayazi uba bathena besecaleni bethetha besecaleni inguye nepolisa elindivileyo uba lichutshisiwe yilantu kwayilento bathi le amapolisa la abamba abanye amapolisa ayiphithi bathi hayi uCaptain Pule uyachuchiswa naye. Wabe uCaptain Pule naye nandimbona ezobhala istatement wayehlale sitsho sithi endoda vuma because yonke into okuchiwo ngayo kuthiwa nguwe umuntu obudubula amapolisa. Bathena bepha icaleni bathi lo muntu unekhanda eliqinile ukuthi ustabule kakhulu. Becinga uba ndibeva ngenxa babethetha isilungu besithi ahlambi noba mnandi beva. Ndabe ndisazi uba ndiyabeva qha into endingazuyenza kukuba ndivuma into endingayenzanga kungcono ndife. Because then feel.
Yeah. Let's talk about the fact that the Solicitor General who's representing government last week announced that the government has actually paid about 175 million rand. One to the families of the 34 miners who were killed by the police. But also they paid the people, the workers who were arrested wrongfully and maliciously prosecuted. I remember the time they had actually arrested nearly 300 people. And you were later arrested. You saying you're still going through that court processes. You were injured. You were arrested, although your case is ongoing, and you're living with those scars and of 9 bullets. Have you been paid? Are you expecting any payment from the state?
Ewe ndilindile imali futhi ke andizuyicela yam. Funeka bandinike yona yonke ukusukela kule babethe bazoninika yona babeyinike abanye abangogxa bam. Ogxa bam bayifumana imali yokubanjwa kwabo. Mna imali yokubanjwa kwam zange ndiyifumana ngenxa yesizathu ndimanga ndedwa futhi.
Well, the reason maybe they didn't pay you is because they would say you were not wrongfully arrested because you're still going through that court.
No. Baye bathi imali bazondibhatala eyam nxa idibene neyokubanjwa neyokulimala. Futhi loo nto abayenzanga kum ndedwa bayenzile nakwabanye abafana nabantu abanye ogxa bam ababelimele nam. Ndizama ukuthi ke ngoku into efike yabuhlungu ukuba sithi silimele kangaka kuphela kubonakala uba kuzothatha ixesha elide kwaloo nto leyo kubonakala uba sizode nathi siyithathe siyisezikhoti namagqwetha wethu ngongathi ngokuseyinto emna okanye ecacayo uba ngoku akusavunyelwana kuyaliwa ngayo.
All right, Mzoxolo, thanks for your time. We appreciate Mzoxolo Magediwana, one of the workers who were injured here when the police were firing at the striking workers. As much as there are currently, Mfundo, of the nearly 300 people who were arrested here, the police have had to release them, many of them, because they could not positively link them to the murders. We know that in the end, the police were left with about 21 people, and some of them have unfortunately died, and only 17 are currently going through, including Mzoxolo, are currently going through that criminal justice system or through the courts. But those who killed the 34, we have not really seen much justice on that side. And we also obviously would want to hear the side of the families of those 10 who were killed before the massacre.
A very painful ordeal that Mzoxolo relays there. But Moloko will leave it there for now. That's reporter Moloko Moloto.